Oh, hi
Hey.
guys, welcome back. It is day 122 of our lockdown, and it is the 20th of July. It's not. I was going to say it's Thursday because that's normally Forza Crowd Day, but it's not. It's Monday. Just throw us through a loop there. Yeah, normally on Thursdays it's Forza Crowd Night, but you had a special edition this evening, which is why I'm all off kilter.
For the grand finale, the end of the season, we'd switch it around in the schedules so that people would find it harder to tune in for. Yeah.
It was a really good fun one though, because there was loads of you. It was bonkers. Oh, it was a particularly bonkers one, I think, this evening. It's fair to say.
A lot of previous guests on and things, and we ended up with Simon, who's a team captain, his sister April, who normally chimes in the comments.
She's very much been every week. She's been there, and bless her heart, always voting for Simon. Because not every round, but certain rounds, it sort of goes to the viewers to decide who wins. And that girl, oh bless her, she has been responsible for a good 60% of Simon's points.
Not just voting for him, but also like feeding him answers on their live stream sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I genuinely because I'm there and I'm always doing it, and I just have a massive delay. So mine come up on the next question, and I'm like, this is a fix, because I'm very competitive.
You're like, this is a fix. I was trying to fix this and it's not letting me.
Well, no, because if I'm just one of the audience, I can just vote. That's not cheating.
True.
That's not cheating.
All right.
I don't cheat. I'm not a big old cheat. How dare you?
But hopefully we'll be bringing Forza Crowd back in some format somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
But for now, all the old episodes are available still to watch online if you want to check out the panel show that I've been doing throughout the lockdown. I'm going to miss doing that every week.
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it?
It's something that you're very good at keeping in touch with your friends.
Thank you.
And, well, it's not something I'm as good at. I think traditionally I've been, even pre-lockdown, like my social life tended to revolve. I don't have a lot of kind of access cash because a lot of my money is spent pushing forward in the comedy world and things, and so a lot of my social life revolved around kind of gigs and things, and then if I'm not gigging,
it does help though that actually some of your best friends are also comedians.
Yes,
so you can sort of see them while you're working.
But what that does mean is it's you kind of get out of the habit of making plans.
Yeah,
to
lockdown
see people.
Has screwed your social life, hasn't it?
Has,
more than most.
But then even within lockdown, like a lot of people are doing Zoom meetings and things, and some of my socialising has been, I do that panel show every Thursday.
That counts.
That's social.
Yeah, I struggle though, because actually I don't think I'm particularly good at sort of keeping in touch. I think I'm just lucky that I've got lots of very maybe equally more on it friends who just kind of keep in touch with me. So yeah, sort of I'm very good sort of in a crisis, but if everything is all well, I kind of just assume you're fine and let you get on with it. But yeah, I think so much of your just life was built around comedy that once sort of gigging and driving to gigs and booking other people for gigs that you're doing and that kind of stuff, once that all goes away, you have to deliberately talk to your friends. But you talk on the phone to your friends.
Well, I have
loads.
A couple of my friends that I talk to.
Sorry, I've got a bit of cat fur on me somewhere.
I was on the phone to Stefan Allen the other day for nearly 2.5 hours.
Oh, I can well believe it.
Until his mum rang when he had to go and speak to his mum instead. Otherwise, it would have carried on probably past the 2.5 hour mark, which you were in the bath the whole time.
That sounds about right.
That sounds like we both had nice afternoons there.
Yep, I can do sitting in the bath. I am not one to shy away from topping it up with more warm because it started to go lukewarm. I will sit in the bath and loll about until the cows come home quite happily.
Speaking of Ellie's habits, breaking news in our house. We had to throw away some red wine because it had gone too vinegary. That is not something that happens. People who know Ellie in particular will know that is not. Well,
that is a testament to how bad my hangover was on after Wednesday night. Was it Wednesday night?
Any of your family seeing this?
No, Friday night.
If any of your family see this, they'll be getting in touch to make sure I'm treating you right. Like, what's wrong with Ellie?
Maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's like blink if you need help, Ellie.
Why did she not finish that wine? That's not like her at all.
No, we opened it at some point over the course of the evening on Friday night when I was with Harriet, and basically, I don't even know why we opened it, because obviously, like, about that much of it got drank that night. It was obviously just, oh, one more drink and then we'll call it a night kind of thing. That did not need to be opened. But once it's opened with red wine, you can't really mess around with it. Like white wine, I find you can keep for ages, and I don't like white wine, unfortunately.
Well, white wine doesn't taste very nice to begin with, so it's hard to tell when it's gone bad.
But red wine, because it's so strong anyway, that as soon as it goes a bit vinegary, as it oxidizes, it really shows. So you usually basically like 1 or 2 days, and I find it a bit. And like, some heathens have a skill that what they do is add a little bit of Coca-Cola to it when it does that, which is apparently sort of acceptable. I disagree.
I've had red
but
wine.
I have had it, and actually it does, I guess because it's so sugary and sweet, it maybe counteracts the vinegary elements of the wine, but it doesn't taste like wine, and like I'd rather just not.
I have had red wine and Coke, and we made it the signature drink of a gig I was running, Brown Bear Comedy, so we called it the Brown Bear,
right?
A red wine and Coke. And apparently it's something they do in Spain, in any hot countries, Mediterranean countries, where having a warm sort of drink, like a room temperature red wine, isn't as appealing.
Yeah, you just like a need to like chill it with something. Yeah.
So but I've never heard of it as like a way of kind of saving.
I think
wine.
like there would still be limits to it. If it's been sat on the shelf for like months, then that is dead. That you can't use that anymore for anything, not even cooking.
Can you not use it as red wine and vinegar?
Yeah, you probably could use it as a substitute for that.
Like, I don't know if it's.
But yeah,
is bad wine and red wine vinegar the same thing?
I think basically, yeah, it's red wine that's kind of oxidized to the point of turning to vinegar. I would still say they probably do sort of like maybe like reduce it down for red wine vinegar or something, but in a pinch, yeah, really old red wine would serve probably for that. But yes, I have known of sort of skint students sort of starting it off, but actually then it taking off and quite a lot of people saying, oh yeah, just a dash. And it does obviously doesn't taste like red wine, but apparently it's perfectly palatable. I have tried it. I wasn't convinced. It definitely made it drinkable. And if you were really, really sort of student times, like you couldn't afford another bottle of wine and you had to have the wine, then I guess it's doable. Or maybe at like 5 a.m. in the morning after a big night, and you're like, yep, don't let the night die, guys.
When I was a student, I was never drinking red wine.
Oh, I drank it like that was my student drink.
And I've been to since I've been a student. When I've been a comedian, I've been to student unions at various points, gigging, and I remember asking for a red wine at a student union once, because I used to drink red wine all the time on stage, and I asked for a red wine, and they didn't have, well, they did have red wine, but the woman serving behind the bar didn't realise they had it, because she didn't know that
it wasn't kept in the fridge with the rosé and the
she
white.
didn't see it in the fridge, so she said, oh, we don't have it, and I had to be like, oh, I think it's that bottle there. And then another student union I went to legitimately didn't have any red wine, so I just had to have Jaeger bombs instead.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking about it.
As old as time.
The Firehouse pub in Exeter is to blame for my alcohol consumption now, because it was during my degree that the Firehouse, they did amazing food. It was really, really good. But the way they got everybody in, it was always rammed in there. Any bottle of wine was £5, but they only had like 2 of each type. But you could have a £5 bottle of wine, but then you'd spend about sort of 8 or 9 quid on food, and it was lovely sort of pub grub food. But it was always rammed in there, and people who didn't normally drink wine, but you know, when you're a student in your skin, you'd be like, well, I can have a night out for £5 there, really, if needs be. That's doable. But I never, I don't have an alcohol problem. I have a red wine problem, because if I have no access to red wine, I do not want to drink. So it can't be that bad, but red wine is my weakness. So the idea of putting Coke with it is ridiculous, right? So anyway,
Song parodies are really easy, by the way.
Oh, okay. Right, that was a bit of a conversational leap.
I just realised, because like in the time you've said that, till as old as time, at university, they haven't any red, so I guess instead it's Jaeger bombs for me. That's how easy it is to change the words to a song.
Yeah.
If I could sing,
I can sing. You can write them, and I'll sing them.
We did that, and then we didn't record it, did we?
No.
We need to do that. We're still time.
It was going to be like the theme tune for this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's how long ago we were thinking of that.
Lockdown themed. Maybe we'll do it, and it will be like nostalgic for people.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we will.
Yeah, we should do it.
Right. Yeah. So my plan was we actually have quite a lot to cover tonight. So. The plan was to be quite sort of let's roll on through it,
like
but we've just talked 10 minutes on nothing that was even on our
really punchy like we've been so far. We're gonna keep it rolling in a similar manner.
Well, why change it? But
let's go straight to the main event.
Yeah, well, no, actually, there is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a couple of days, and it's bugging me that we keep forgetting. So I'm just gonna go straight to it. So, guys. There are loads of you that watch this, loads of you that sort of tell us about it and sort of mention that you've seen us sort of say stuff. Or I'll be like talking to friends and they'll be like, yeah, I know you said that. And I'm like, did I? Why didn't I speak to you? Like, oh no, on your vlog. I'm like, we have to, I don't know who's watched the vlog and who hasn't. But regardless of that, we know there are plenty of you out there and we kind of have a favour to ask. Basically... I have discovered that at 100 subscribers, at 100, we can do quite a nifty little thing with our YouTube channel, which is great because at the moment it's like youtube.com/gibberish, unmemorizable sort of gobbledygook. But at 100 subscribers, you can nominate it to say youtube.com/whatever you like. And
that'd make it a lot easier for us to kind of share around.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier because rather than having to tell people to search for my channel and then find it. So actually, even if you only watch them occasionally, do please give us a subscribe because we need to get to that landmark in order to be able to then sort of publicise this a bit further. So if you haven't already,
because when we started this out, we were never thinking in terms of getting any viewers or subscribers.
It was a video diary, really.
And so it was just kind of tied into Ellie's work email.
Well, it's tied to my Google account, and unfortunately that means if I change the name of the channel to Chris and Ellie, like that means whenever I send a work email, it'll say hi from Chris and Ellie, and I'm like, oh, that's I can't really do that. But then sort of it's very complicated to sort of set it up as a different channel and transfer everything over because it won't have the right publishing dates and all sorts of bullshit that you don't need to know about. But essentially, if we can get to that 100 subscribers mark, we're better able to sort of publicize the vlog, share it about, get more followers, because actually I think we're gonna stick with this and actually make a thing of this. So if you do watch but you haven't subscribed yet, please do give us a subscribe. We won't force you to watch them
because we share this all around on YouTube, on Facebook as well and things, and so you might think, well, I'd see it every day. I find the link on Facebook. I don't need to subscribe because it's just. But if you do subscribe additionally, it would be doing us a favour.
Yeah, it really would. And of course, if there are any people that you sort of think, actually, I think these guys might like this, then do share us around. So unlike sort of just saying it in closing, like and subscribe, guys, but actually do. Give us the likes, give us the subscribes if you like it, because it actually sort of bumps us up the listings, makes us easier to find, loads of other good stuff, which means that we'll just have a little bit of a foot up for when we sort of go on to our next incarnation of whatever this is going to turn into. So yeah, I'll try not to be too banging on about that, but for now, please like and subscribe. There's no shame in it. But I'm not cutting it off there. That feels like an end of a vlog, doesn't it?
Also, like and subscribe. Also, if you enjoyed the vlog, and why not give it a share? We share it on Facebook. You're welcome to kind of share any of those to your own wall, or if you know somebody might like it and you want to send them a link to the playlist or a specific episode.
Yeah.
I know episode 87 seems to have been unusually popular.
I don't know why that was.
There, but people seem to like that one. So.
Did you? I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
Rewatch it and check.
But yeah, actually, I am a little bit obsessive over these. So if you're like, oh, actually, there was one that I liked, but I can't remember when it was, just pop me a message. Chances are I'll remember which one that was, and I'll be able to give you the link to that specific one. So if you're like, oh yeah, when you were talking about that, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, do hit us up, send us some messages, like and subscribe. You'd be doing us a favour, and it will, help us sort of go on to the next step after this.
If you want, want, you can like and subscribe to my own personal channel as well.
No,
it's good. It
is good. That is actually
clips and our sketches and stuff are on there, and I've got some more stuff coming up soon.
Yes.
And I've also got a couple of playlists on there. So if you look for my channel, you can find my playlist of all the best free stand-up full shows that you can watch on YouTube. That's not my comedy. That's other people's brilliant
just
comedy.
Recommendations and things. And I think we'll actually put a few more of those together, won't we?
And I've got another playlist on there of my favourite YouTubers that you can check out. Some things that I've been enjoying watching on YouTube that I think you'll enjoy as well. And also, I put up uploaded a new video today.
I've already added it to the playlist.
Oh, nice. And we'll maybe put a link in the description as well. Because it's not. I'll be honest. It's not the video I've put most work and effort in of all the videos I've done. But nonetheless, I'm a bit.
It's cute.
It is cute, and it's kind of. I put it up around 3 o'clock, and it's gone 10 now. And it's had a paltry 11 views.
Oh, boo.
Which is underwhelming, even by our kind of. We're not. No, but we're not expecting.
Really bad.
We're not expecting sort of millions of hits or anything, but. Some YouTubers put a thing up and they get thousands of hits straight away, but like we're not expecting that. But 11 is pretty poor, guys. And I've looked at the statistics for this.
Is that 11 YouTube views or is that 11 Facebook views?
11 YouTube
views. YouTube is much more stingy with when it grants you those views, because I know that it undersells those, because I've had it saying 0 and people talk to me about stuff that's been in it. I'm like, well, how did you see it then?
Yeah.
It does strange stuff with the algorithm. Again, that's other reasons why we need to get bumped up the algorithm so that it
that
sort of reflects our views more accurately.
But also, I did a little check on this video, and it's had 5 likes.
Right.
So 5 likes out of 11 views.
Good.
I know.
Success rate.
I mean, that sounds like less than half the people who watched it liked it, but one of those views was me.
Right.
So basically, it's 50-50.
Nice.
Right? Which what that means is, without even knowing you and your tastes, I can prove with statistics there's a 50-50 chance you're going to like this video.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that sells it, doesn't it?
And it's only about 2.5 minutes. You might as well give it 1.5 minutes. I think you might as well give it a go. Also, I've done the research. Don't worry. Not everyone who likes a video clicks like. I don't click like on all the videos I watch. I looked up. Do you remember Charlie Bit My Finger?
Yes.
A famous YouTube video from the past.
Yes.
That's had about 850 million views.
What?
It's only had 2.4 million likes.
Oh, way more people liked it.
Loads more people liked it than that. So if you scale that up, I'd say probably about 90% of people who saw my cat video really liked it.
Okay, I like that you can prove it with the stats.
Yeah, done maths. Scienced you.
You've scienced. Well, that actually leads us on to some sort of news stuff that we should talk about, but we'll science you.
I guess.
We will science you now, because we've done the sort of hat in hand, please help us, Gov. But yeah, so, good science story, potentially. So as we sort of said previously, quite sort of far back in the dark mists of time, that Oxford University and Imperial College London were working on vaccines, a vaccine, but separately they're working on them, for COVID-19. So that has actually human trials have already started on that, which is unprecedented in how fast they've got it to that stage. But they're showing some promise, and actually they've had a bit of a breakthrough, because obviously with testing these things, even if you've sort of got it ready to go, you have to then allow time for sort of people to either catch or not catch COVID. So this is all very early in being able to say how it's looking, but it is actually very promising what it's showing, because what they've done, I won't pretend to fully understand the science of this because it's very complicated and I am not a scientist, but basically they've adapted a virus that causes basically the common cold in chimpanzees. They've adapted that to have the protein markers that make it look like a coronavirus virus to our immune system. So they've added all these little proteins so that basically it looks similar enough that it will initiate the right response from our immune system. And basically, it looks like about 90% of the recipients had the appropriate antibodies to fight off COVID-19 28 days after having the vaccine. Now, 100% of them had it if they had 2 doses of the vaccine. However, They don't know how long, so that would suggest that they're immune. Obviously, they can't it wouldn't be ethical to deliberately then try to infect them with COVID. So what they're actually going to do now, the next stage of it, is to run tests of it in other countries. Because the problem with running it here is our rate of coronavirus in the general population is too low to know whether people are likely to catch it and to know how effective it is. So that's good, sort of. But it does mean that you need to send it out to other countries that have a higher proportion of coronavirus in the population. So the countries that are actually getting the next stage of this trial are the USA, Brazil, and South Africa. So they're going to do 30,000 trial patients of it in the US. I think it's 2,000 in South Africa and 5,000 in Brazil, and see how they go there with a much higher incidence in the population. So it may be that you have your one dose and then you go back to the doctors, say 2 weeks later, to have your second dose, and that will give you immunity, but we don't know how long for. So it may be that it's a thing that you kind of have to do regularly until we've got a better, longer acting vaccine, or until we've managed to sort of control the virus well enough that most people, because if everybody's getting it but not all at the same time, there would be an element of herd immunity because most people wouldn't be catching it and passing it on. So that is quite impressive and quite promising. The only thing I'm worried about, and maybe I've just watched too much science fiction here, but I would be personally, and I am very much not an anti-vaxxer, I am pro-vaccines, bring them on, vaccine me up, it's all good, but I'm also pro sufficient testing of vaccines before we give them to everybody.
Yes.
And the UK government has already ordered 100 million of these, which suggests they're planning on saying, we're vaccinating everybody. Absolutely, everybody has to get vaccinated. I don't know if they'd legally be able to mandate it that you had to, but it suggests if they're buying in 100 million and you have to have at least 2 doses, there's about 66 million of us. So that would suggest that they're basically aiming to vaccinate everybody who is allowed to be vaccinated for whatever purposes, because people who are immunocompromised and the elderly and the very young can't be, etc. So that would suggest they're trying to vaccinate, say, 50 million of us.
On the one hand, it's nice to know that the US isn't stockpiling it all.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I am with you in sort of going, well, I kind of want to see how this works on people before I put it in me.
Well,
I mean, certainly I think pregnant women...
Yeah, well, they would probably be in some of the people that they would say we don't try this on them yet. But also you have to kind of say, when you don't know the long-term effects of something, because actually as a vaccine, so far, it does have side effects that they know of already. The side effects are fairly sort of manageable, but almost everybody who had it immediately had quite a nasty headache, and most of them sort of sprung a fever. Which is because it is actually sort of giving you a minor infection, which is training your antibodies to fight that, but also they'd be better able to fight COVID if they got it. That's the thinking behind it anyway. So it won't be hugely pleasant, even at that, but like I guess a headache for a day or two. They said it should be manageable with paracetamol. It's not sort of like a splitting migraine or anything. But you know, that's enough to put some people off. Some people don't like needles and all that stuff.
Some people don't like migraines.
No.
Or headaches.
No. Oh, I don't. I don't know about
fevers.
you. But I think like that's not a severe enough side effect to sort of put off most people. If they're like, well, it means I can go back to work, it means I can go hug my gran, all of that sort of stuff. But I would be nervous to think about things in the long term, because if you don't know what the sort of 5-year effects and 10-year effects are, hypothetically, it could cause another problem down the line. So, for example, you used the example of pregnant women. The awful example of when they sort of developed thalidomide, which was meant as an anti-nausea and anti-heartburn drug, and it was incredibly effective at reducing heartburn and anti-nausea.
To mind for me, I was immediately thought
Unfortunately, when pregnant, and actually it was mainly prescribed to pregnant women, because actually they're giving it to adults, there weren't any side effects, it all seemed fine, and because pregnant women obviously suffer with morning sickness and heartburn and things, they gave it to pregnant women, I think it was in the 60s, and unfortunately it caused really severe birth defects and sometimes the loss of the child altogether, and all sorts of really awful things. And so I would say, generally speaking, vaccines should not be given, maybe, certainly untested ones shouldn't be given to pregnant women, just in case. But also, like, hypothetically speaking, there's nothing to say that it couldn't have sort of effects on other aspects of human health. Not to say I won't be sort of refusing to have it, but I don't want to be the first round.
Yeah,
which is maybe a bit of a hypocritical stance, because I'm like, everybody needs to do this so that we can, but I'm like, I really do want to make sure I would rather still be cautious and kind of do a lot of social distancing and hygiene measures for longer, and then really test this vaccine.
Because most vaccines are quite rigorously tested, right? They're not rushed to market.
Normally, like at best case scenario, you'd be getting to human trials after 2 to 3 years.
This is it, and we're definitely not anti-vaxxers by any means.
But
rushing a vaccine to market is not done.
And giving it to hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of people before you know the long-term effects seems unwise, and it feels like maybe that's kind of like an economic decision rather than a health decision. I don't know, because obviously it may be the scientists that are pushing for this, and it may be the medical profession that are pushing for this. I suspect money is a factor, and we need to sort of get the economy stimulated. We need to get everybody back to work. We need to get everything open. So if we can just get everyone immune really quickly, then that solves that problem. But you might end up with like a sterile population or something like that. So that'd be interesting. So yeah, I just sort of say, like, and as I say, I hold my hand up. I am not a scientist. I do not want my words in this to be quoted as any kind of fact. I'm just talking from sort of feeling and nerves and caution. I think it's absolutely a positive news story that it's showing promise, and the way they've done it sounds all very plausible and feasible, and like they know what they're doing, and it's all brilliant. But yeah, I would like to see the normal amount of sort of testing before it just generally goes to market. Because it may be that it interacts with somebody's drug schedule that they don't know about, and if you give it to everybody, certain people might have bad reactions, or there's all sorts of things that it could potentially do, because ultimately we don't know enough about the actual virus to therefore really know enough about the vaccine yet. It's basically brand new. The first known cases sprang up in December. It's only July now. Like, this is it's exploded so fast that is bonkers. So I think it is positive news. I don't think everybody should sort of take my word and go, oh my God, I'm not having that vaccine. I'm not saying that at all. I just want to sort of be reassured that it has been tested sufficiently before it's just rolled out to everybody. But the fact that they've got this far this fast is promising, and it does show that, because actually our government did early on dedicate, I think it was 6.5 billion into research on this. It was, or that might be the amount the CDC was researching. Somebody was put 6.5 billion into this, and so like, it's, I guess, with that many billions, you can do a lot of science pretty quick. So yeah, I'm sure the science backs it up, but I just want the unknowns to maybe be a bit more known. But it's early and it's promising, so that is something to sort of be optimistic about, I think, overall. Cautiously optimistic, as ever.
I don't want to dwell on this next subject too long, but I wanted to mention that the track and trace app that the government have come up with and put out breaks GDPR law.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised, really.
But I mean, the thing is, GDPR law has largely proven itself to be a pain in the arse, right? And it was something we didn't have, a year ago or whatever?
I think it might have been about 2 now. I can't remember.
And they've introduced it. The Conservative government brought it in. And
did they? I thought we had to get in line with the EU on that one.
And I'm pretty sure it came in.
I'll have to double check.
Conservative government.
Oh, the Conservative. It did come in under the Conservatives, but I don't know if it was them that were pushing for it.
I'm pretty sure they were the ones pushing for it.
Oh, okay.
Which, if it was the case, like, we're not. It's a pain in the ass in my day job, in my working life.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? It's a real ball ache, and I'd rather not have to do it. But if I do have to do it, I think the government at least has to stick to their own standards, right?
Yeah.
Their own laws. Right?
Oh god, it was a bore. Like every single
I-
company was sending you emails being like, "We need to update our GDPR." Like, oh god.
Yeah, but also from my point of view, working in Specsavers, I have to go over a script. Every patient I see, I have to explain about GDPR, and they're like fed up with it, and they don't want to do it, and they get chippy with me, and it's like, I don't want to do this.
This is not fun.
Come on, it's the law. I have to do this spiel. Let's both get through it together. So it just made your day more miserable than it had previously been. And for no extra reward. But anyway, so just follow your own bloody law. And the German one, I'm sure it makes it trickier or whatever, but the German one is entirely anonymous.
Yeah.
And it can be done, and it might be harder, but like all our lives have been made harder by the GDPR law.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to do it, guys.
Yeah. I can't say I'm surprised. They took a lot of shortcuts. They tried to get it out fast. They used people who weren't qualified to try and develop it, and it's been a ball ache from word go with this. Like, why they couldn't have used other countries already had working ones which they offered us, and we said no because we wanted to spend money on our own. It basically always boils down to the money. Like, they're doing a million things to try and save money out of the general population so that they can keep it in with their mates, and it's bullshit. So there were a couple of other things that I wanted to go on to, but we won't because we're speeding through our time. But there is one that I'm very curious about because I don't know what it is, and you mentioned it yesterday and we didn't get to it.
Okay.
And so I think, shall we end on my logic puzzle?
If you want. So, what it is, I've got to remember it now.
Oh no.
There are two boxes.
Oh no, are you testing me live on camera?
There are two boxes.
Right.
Right, now they're like, Who Wants to Be... not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Deal or no deal?
Thank you, yes, like two red boxes.
Lovely.
Box A, box B.
Lovely.
Now, you definitely you have to choose, right?
I think I know this logic puzzle, but
do you?
Talk me through it.
So you definitely get box B, whatever happens.
Right.
And then you choose if you're just having box B, or if you're also having
I don't know this
box
one.
A and box B.
Right.
Now, box A has £1,000 in it.
Right.
Regardless.
Right.
Box B either has £1 million or nothing.
Right.
So you can take just box B.
Right.
Or you can take both boxes. At this stage, where you going?
What's the deal with box C?
There isn't a box C.
Oh, okay. That isn't the puzzle I thought then.
No,
I can have. So I get to keep whatever's in the box.
You get to keep whatever's in the boxes.
Both boxes. So
you either just have box B, or you have both boxes.
Well, logic seems to dictate that having both boxes means I at least get £1,000, but I might get $1 million and £1,000.
Yes.
So both boxes makes more sense.
Good. You're with me so far?
Yes.
I'm just checking. That's not the question. That's just checking you've understood so far.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So,
that seemed like a very easy question, so I was wondering where the trick was.
So there's a robot.
Right.
That scans you before you pick your boxes.
Right.
And if the robot thinks you're going to take both boxes, it puts nothing in box B.
Right.
If it thinks you're only going to take the second box B, it puts £1 million in box B.
Right.
So it has scanned everyone who's ever done this, and it has always been right.
Right.
So now, which box are you going to take?
Now I would only take box B.
Why is that?
Because if it thinks I'm going to only take box B, it puts £1 million in it, and I am only going to take box B, and it's been right on everyone else, so it's going to know that it's going to guess that I'm only going to take box B, so I'll only take box B.
Okay, right.
That's my thinking there.
All right, but now just to go an extra step.
Right.
The robot at this point, you've made your choice. You've thought ahead of time. That's what you're going to do. Now the robot has already scanned you.
Right.
It's made its choice. It can't change its mind.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Why would I change my mind? What do you mean it's already scanned me?
Well, the robot scanned you.
Yeah.
So it's put what it's going to put in the second box.
Yeah. Oh, so did it scan me before I knew that it scans everybody and it always does that? I'm confused.
No, you knew that.
Right.
And then it scanned you.
Yeah.
And now you stood in front of the two boxes and you're like, well, I've already been scanned.
Okay, there is. This is similar to another logic puzzle I've been given, and I think probability suggests that your odds are better to then change your mind, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stick with what I can't remember why, but something to do with the maths and the likelihood of things. But I might be mixing this up with another puzzle. But anyway, I'm still sticking with my guns.
So why are you sticking with your guns?
Because it was right to begin with. Why would knowing it's right change my mind?
Okay. All right, I will tell you that is the same answers that I gave.
Yeah.
The reason I gave for it, sticking with it and not changing my mind was like, this robot has always been right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not the first person to come along and kind of think about these things. So, even if I'm thinking, but it's already made its choice, I can switch now. It's fine. Someone else would have done that first. This robot is obviously smarter than I am. Like, I'm not going to be the first person to outthink this. I'm just going to stick with.
Yeah.
You know. So basically, that is just how many people do you think, like percentage-wise, would make the same choices as you?
I would assume most, because it's like, well, if you stick to your guns and you get what's the extra grand going to make a difference? So you just like stick to only picking box B and you get $1 million. Like that just makes sense.
No, the answer is 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's different ways people look at things, right? And I made the same choices as you. But I tell you how, I got this logic puzzle from a friend of mine who had reason recently to seek legal advice.
Right, yeah.
Now, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to say which friend of mine that was or why he needed the legal advice, but don't worry, we'll put all the details in the description underneath. So we'll put his name and address and phone number, and that'll be fine. But yeah, the lawyer gave that logic puzzle because that's something they use to kind of explain how juries work.
Right.
Like some people kind of are very pragmatic, like, well, this has happened, and so I've got to kind of just judge it. And some people are almost like, if I make this verdict, it's almost like I'm willing a crime into existence.
Right, I feel like I've misunderstood the question a little bit because it just seems so blatantly...
Well, I gave the same answers as you, so I feel like you must have understood it perfectly because we're on the same page. We must both be brilliant.
Maybe you were leading me to answer the same way as you were. I don't know. But yeah, that's interesting. So what would you do, guys? I'm going to have to sort of check. I'm going to have to give this more thought. But I think, yeah, if it like rescans me after I've had a chance to have another think, then I think that might sort of change my thinking. But if it's already scanned me anyway, then I might as well stick to my guns because it's already scanned me. So that's what I was going to do then. So that's what I'm going to still do now. Otherwise, I might get nothing. So that's my thinking. Anyway, so tell us what you do, guys. But also, more importantly, as we have mentioned, please do like and subscribe. There's no shame in it.